In the past, I've made a couple videos talking about recent NHL trades that everybody was wrong about. This video is going to be similar to those, but instead we are going to be talking about contract signings. This isn't just free agency signings either. Actually, the majority of the contracts I'm going to talk about in this video were players who signed an extension with the team that they're already on. I'm going to say this because I said it at the start of the other videos I made like this one. I know not literally every single person on the planet was wrong about these signings, because I know I'm going to get some comments of people saying, oh, I was actually right about this. I'm not literally talking about everybody, I'm just kind of talking in majority sense. Be sure to get down there in the comments and let me know some contracts that you were wrong about that I did not talk about in this video. Also, be sure to go follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you guys want to talk hockey somewhere other than YouTube. Links to those will be down below in the description. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with all that out of the way, let's get into 6 recent NHL contract signings that everybody was wrong about. Starting off the video with Tom Wilson and his 6-year, $31 million contract he signed with the Washington Capitals that carries an annual cap hit of $5.166 million. We'll round that up to $5.2 million here. The Capitals signed Wilson to this contract on July 27th of 2018, so shortly after they won the 2018 Stanley Cup, and when this happened, there was a lot of people freaking out about it. At the time, this was pretty much just seen as Washington rewarding Tom Wilson for having a good playoff run. He had 15 points in 21 playoff games, but this was a guy who at the time was still kind of just seen as like a tough guy who could chip in a little bit of offense. In the 2017-18 regular season, Tom Wilson put up 14 goals and 35 points in 78 games, the goals, assist, points all being career highs, but even still $31 million across 6 years for somebody coming off of a season like that. Despite him being really good in the playoffs, that was seen as a whole lot of money and a pretty big gamble. If you don't remember, or if you just don't believe me that a lot of people were dumbfounded by this signing, I went back and looked on my channel. Unfortunately, I didn't make a video on this signing, so I couldn't, go and look through the comments. So I went over to the Hockey Guys YouTube channel and he made a video on this signing. I'm sure you've seen his channel. If you haven't, what are you doing? I'll read you some of the top comments from that video. The comment with the most likes said, "This makes the Abdelkader contract look great." The next comment says, "WTF, this guy got way overpaid." I like how he said this guy as if he didn't even know who Tom Wilson was. This comment says, "This contract is way too long and high." And the last one we'll look at, as Adam Protu so eloquently tweeted, "The only thing missing from this contract is a buyout date." You guys get the point. When the Capitals signed him to this extension, it was a little bit of a head scratcher, but Tom Wilson has blown expectations away. He has proved a lot of people wrong. In the first 2 seasons of this contract, he has scored at or above a 25-goal pace across an 82-game season. Aside from the goal scoring and point production, Wilson definitely does a lot of other things for the Capitals. He hits a ton, he has no problem dropping the gloves if he has to, and I'm sure he's somebody that every other team in the league hates to play against. Now, I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of Tom Wilson and probably won't want to hear this, but I feel like ever since he got that 20-game suspension for absolutely destroying Oskar Sundqvist in the 2018 preseason, it was a dirty hit, and it was in the preseason nonetheless. But since then, I feel like Wilson has gotten better at identifying the line and knowing not to cross it. It almost seems like he realized the Capitals are a much better team with him in the lineup than when he's serving a suspension. Nonetheless, if Tom Wilson continues to play like he has over the past couple of seasons, then this contract is perfectly fine and he's worth every penny. Moving along now, we have Temi Panarin and the 7-year, $81.5 million contract he signed with the Rangers last offseason. This contract carries an annual cap hit of $11,642,857. We'll just say it's $11.6 million per year. Now, this is one that I will admit I was completely wrong about. When Temi Panarin signed this contract, it made him the 2nd highest paid player in the National Hockey League, only behind Connor McDavid. Now, don't get me wrong, I knew Panarin was a fantastic player, one of the elite wingers in the NHL, a guy who can, give you between 80 to 90 points a season, but I didn't necessarily think that Temi Panarin was one of the very best players in the NHL, a bona fide superstar. And after signing this deal, like I said, he was going to be the 2nd highest paid player in the league behind Connor McDavid. I definitely thought it was an overpayment, and I'm definitely not the only one that felt that way either, but man, did Temi Panarin shut a lot of people up with the season he just had with the New York Rangers. 95 points in just 69 games, a Hart Trophy finalist. You can even make a really strong case as to why Panarin maybe even should have won the Hart Trophy. He was incredible this season for the Rangers, worth every penny that they've paid him so far. And you look at the team that is forming around Temi Panarin. I mean, they just added Lafreniere this offseason. If Panarin keeps up that MVP caliber play throughout this contract, the Rangers are going to be very good and be contending for a very long time. Next up, we have William Nylander and the 6-year, $45 million contract he signed with the Maple Leafs. This carries an annual cap hit of about $7 million, give or take about $38,000. This contract was signed on December 1st of 2018, so a good bit into the 2018-19 season. Obviously, Nylander missed a lot of games that year because he was holding out, trying to get the type of contract and the type of money that he wanted. And after they did finally get the deal done on December 1st and Nylander came back and played the rest of the regular season, he wasn't very good for Toronto. He really struggled, had just 7 goals and 27 points in 54 games, only 3 points in 7 playoff games. After a performance like that, after he got such a lucrative deal from holding out, a lot of people soured on Nylander, especially Maple Leafs fans. There was a lot of people saying he's, overpaid and they should trade him if anybody has to go due to the cap crunch. But man, did William Nylander bounce back in a big way this past season, putting up a career high 31 goals in just 68 games, 59 total points, and even after that type of season, you still had people saying he should be the one to go, he's soft, the Leafs already have enough offense with Tavares, Marner, and Matthews. And the people that are still saying that, those are the type of people that just don't want to admit that they're wrong, and I find it funny how people call William Nylander soft, like yeah, he doesn't go into the corners and lay thunderous hits or anything like that, but if you go watch a highlight reel of all the goals he scored this past season, you would come to realize that a lot of the goals he scored in the 2019-20 season came in and around the crease, in that net front area. He has a really good nose for the net. He's definitely not a player who strictly relies on his skill to get things done, and I feel like a lot of people try and make him out as a player who does play that way, and it's just wrong. I was really impressed with him this past season. If Nylander continues to play that way throughout this contract, he's worth every penny, despite what people say. Continuing on now, next up we have Kevin Hayes and the 7-year, $50 million contract he signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, an annual cap hit of about $7.1 million. Now I will say this, I do still think the Flyers probably overpaid a little bit for Kevin Hayes, but that was bound to happen because of the way they went about bringing him in. They traded a draft pick to the Winnipeg Jets to get his UFA rights so that the Flyers could, try and work out a deal and negotiate with Kevin Hayes before unrestricted free agency opened, and the second they did that, they lost all leverage in contract negotiations, because if you're Kevin Hayes, you can put out your asking price. If the Flyers think that's too high, well, Kevin Hayes can say, all right, then that's fine, I'll just go test unrestricted free agency, maybe another team will give me what I want, and then you just gave up a draft pick for literally nothing. So the Flyers were bound to overpay, but I don't think it's near as bad as everybody thought it was going to be when the Flyers originally signed that contract. Giving $7.1 million a year to somebody whose career high in points is only 54, for the amount of term that they gave him, it was pretty risky. But if Kevin Hayes can continue to give the Flyers seasons like the one that he just gave them throughout this contract, I feel like you shouldn't really hear a lot of people complaining about the amount of money he's making. In 69 regular season games, Kevin Hayes had a career high in goals per game, had 41 points, and also in the playoffs, in my opinion, Kevin Hayes was the Flyers' best forward. He had 13 points in 16 games. On top of everything he did on the ice this past season, off the ice, it really seemed like Kevin Hayes just fit like a glove in Philly. If you've never seen any of the mic'd up videos of him on the Flyers YouTube channel, I recommend you go check them out. They're pretty hilarious. Moving along now, we have a pretty interesting one. Josh Bailey and the 6-year, $30 million contract he signed with the New York Islanders, an annual cap hit of $5 million. This one was actually brought up on the community tab by a subscriber, AC8 Hockey, so shout out to you. The second I seen this, a light bulb went off in my head, and I immediately remembered not liking this contract and thinking that the Islanders would live to regret it. The signing date on this contract is February 23rd, 2018, so it was in the middle of the 2017-18 season, a season in which Josh Bailey had a career high 71 points in 76 games. Everybody knew that Josh Bailey was a solid player, but a lot of people, including myself, figured his point totals were always kind of inflated because he spent a lot of time playing with, John Tavares at both 5-on-5 and on the power play. And of course, following the 2017-18 season, John Tavares would leave. He signed with the Maple Leafs as a free agent, and I remember thinking like, wow, this Josh Bailey contract doesn't really look so good right now. But a lot of us were completely wrong. Josh Bailey has been perfectly fine without John Tavares. The first season after he left, Josh Bailey put up 56 points in 82 games. So yes, it was a drop from the 71 points the year prior, but it was still tied for the second most points he's put up in a single season in his career. And this past season, Bailey had another solid year, and in the playoffs, he kind of took his game to another level. He had 20 points in 22 games, was a huge part in the Islanders' playoff run. $5 million a season for somebody like Josh Bailey, the way he's played over the past couple of seasons, especially in these past playoffs, that's good value. And back when Tavares left, I wasn't so sure. And now finishing off the video with Leon Draisaitl and the 8-year, $68 million contract he signed with the Edmonton Oilers that carries an annual cap hit of $8.5 million. This contract was signed on August 16th of 2017, so it was following Leon Draisaitl's amazing playoff run with the Oilers in 2017 when he had 16 points in 13 playoff games. After his performance in those playoffs, everybody expected Draisaitl to make a huge leap the following season, but he kind of took a little bit of a step back in terms of his offensive production, only putting up 70 points in 78 games compared to his 77 and 82 the year prior. And I remember a lot of the talk following that season was, is this what Draisaitl is? A guy that can just, consistently give you between 70 to 75 points, which is still very good, but $8.5 million for that is a little bit steep, especially considering how much they are paying Connor McDavid as well. And then of course these past couple of seasons happened, and now the Leon Draisaitl contract actually looks really good. 105 points in the 2018-19 season, and this year he was the MVP of the league, 110 points in 71 games. Draisaitl has developed into a superstar, one of the best players in the league, an offensive monster. Say what you want about Leon Draisaitl's defensive game, I agree it's not very good, but $8.5 million for somebody who puts up 100 points a season, just won the Hart Trophy, that's real good value. And in my opinion, Draisaitl has the tools to at least become a solid two-way centerman. He's very strong on his skates, his balance is really good, he has a long reach. I wonder if it's something he's really going to look to work on. We'll have to see how it is this upcoming season. Nonetheless, the Edmonton Oilers have to be really happy with how this contract has aged so far. But that is going to wrap up today's video. Those were 6 recent NHL contract signings that the majority of people were wrong about. If there was any that I didn't talk about in this video that you think I missed, be sure to let me know down in the comment section. If you did enjoy today's video, please be sure to leave it a like. That is the best way to show your support. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all in the next video.